Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am doing a demo and wear test on the new Tarte Shape Tape Matte Foundation. I ordered this myself off the Tarte website when it first launched, and I got the shade Light Sand. In this video, I will be taking you through the demo process, trying it out with a sponge and a brush, and then also on a wear test throughout the day to see how well it performs and any pros and cons that I tend to notice. So if you would like to see my full demo and wear test on this Tarte Shape Tape foundation, then just keep watching. So this is what the foundation looks like. It is the Tarte Shape Tape foundation, and I have the matte version. I do have mine in the shade Light Sand, which is a bit too light for me, but we are just going to make it work. This is what the packaging looks like. It looks like a bigger version of the Shape Tape concealer, and I like how it has this sort of frosted packaging since it is a matte foundation. You open it up, and as you can see, you do have a big doe foot applicator similar to the Shape Tape concealer, although this one is a bit bigger. So that is very nice. Overall, the packaging, I really like it. I'm just going to pull up the claims of this foundation before we start so that we can see what it claims to do and how well it does those things. So this foundation does retail for $39 and it comes in 18 shades. So it is sold on TarteCosmetics.com and also in Ulta. Since it is part of the Shape Tape line, Sephora does not carry it. So like I said, I have the shade Light Sand, which if you can see is in the first third of shades, so I really need to go to about medium sand, which is right in the middle. So this is what Tarte says about this product. A vegan and oil-free full coverage foundation with a creamy texture and modern matte finish to complement our cult favorite concealer. Provides the same full coverage as its concealing predecessor. It smooths over pores and imperfections with rich airbrushed full coverage that dries to a flawless matte finish using a unique concealer-inspired wand. The formula absorbs oil and shine while leaving skin creaseless, hydrated, free of flakiness or cakiness, and helping to improve skin health with every application. It is dermatologist tested, hypoallergenic, waterproof, long wear, vegan, oil-free, talc-free, and alcohol-free. Now for the foundation, I do have my Sigma F80 brush that I want to use on one side of my face, and then I also have a dampened Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. So I'm just going to kind of see which one applies better or what I personally like. I do think that the brush will give me more coverage, but I do like to use a sponge typically just to get a more natural appearance. So we are going to be trying both of those today. And I'm going to start with the brush side on my right side of my face, so your left. And I'm just going to take the foundation, and I'm not going to wipe any off just to see how far this gets me with one dip out of the container. So as you can see, it is definitely too light for me, but I do just want to see how this wears, so we're going to try to make it work. Now I'm just going to buff that out with my brush. So there it is with the brush application. It is definitely matte. It almost was starting to dry down a little bit while I was starting to blend it. So I would suggest maybe going in little sections before dotting this all over your face because you might end up with some patchiness. And I don't see any streaks or anything like that, which I tend to see when I use a brush to blend out some foundations. So that is a plus. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side with my Real Techniques sponge. Okay, so there is the sponge side blended out. Once again, I don't see any streakiness or patchiness, and it blended out pretty well. I will zoom you in so that you can see a little bit of the texture of my skin and how it is laying on my skin. So if you can see right between my eyebrows, I do have some dryness that it is catching onto, which could be because I used a matte primer and a matte foundation, or it could be the foundation itself. It is not terrible. I do tend to get that a little bit with most foundations, but just something to note. As for how it looks on my skin, I do think that it looks pretty good. It is definitely matte, but I don't think that it is settling weird or anything like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish up my makeup, and I will come back for a starting point. Right now it is 9:40, so I got done applying my foundation around now, and I will come back on once I finish my face makeup and give you sort of a starting point for this whole review, and also let you know how other products applied on top of it. Okay, so I'm back and I have a full face of makeup on, and this is what the foundation is looking like. Right now it is a little bit after 10 o'clock, so this will be my starting point for the day. I'm going to try to wear this as long as I can, and I will do a couple check-ins. Everything blended out on top of this foundation very nicely. I didn't notice any patchiness or any difficulty blending, so that was great. I do think it is pretty full coverage. There is not barely any redness peeking through over here, which is great because that is what I struggle with the most. So I do think it's pretty full coverage. I did set it a little bit with my Stay Matte powder, just a very light amount. So I'm very interested to see how this wears throughout the day, and I will come back in and check in with you in a few hours. Hey guys, it is about 2 o'clock almost, so I have had this foundation on for about 4 hours, and I just wanted to give you a quick check-in. I'm at work, so I'm still going to be here for a couple of more hours, but I will give you another check-in later on. It is starting to wear a little bit right in here. It sort of looks patchy, and a little bit just around my nose. I have been blowing my nose, so that could be why. As for the dryness up between my eyebrows, that still looks about the same. My foundation and highlight is still on about the same as well, so otherwise everything is looking pretty good so far. I'm not oily whatsoever, which is really shocking since it has been already 4 hours, but I will give you another check-in. I just wanted to give you a quick look at how the foundation is looking right now, so I will be back in a couple of hours. Hey guys, so I'm back to do a check-in. It is about 4 o'clock and I'm just getting ready to leave for class. So I've had this foundation on for a little over 6 hours. So far, I think the foundation is still looking pretty good. I am getting a bit oily on my forehead and in between my eyebrows, the bridge of my nose, that sort of area, which tends to always happen with whatever foundation I use. However, this has been on for 6 hours, and I do think that that's a pretty good amount of time considering that at my last check-in I was not oily. It has rubbed off a bit on my nose. Other than that, the coverage on my cheeks is still looking pretty good. It is wearing off a little tiny bit in here as well. That could be the concealer or the foundation, I'm not too sure. So basically the only thing that I see is my forehead and T-zone that's a little bit oily. Otherwise, it still looks pretty good. My bronzer is on nice still. So far so good. I will do a check-in after class and just give you my final thoughts, but right now I don't think it is that bad. Hey guys, it's around 8:30 right now, so I've had this foundation on for about 10.5 hours, and I think it is looking pretty good. If I look closely, I am oily in my T-zone like I was earlier today. So that's not really something that's concerning because, as I mentioned, that happens with pretty much every foundation I try. I'm still worn a little bit right here. It doesn't seem to have gotten worse, but it was pretty quick to wear off initially, so that's just something to note. I did lose a tiny bit of coverage on my cheeks, but that could be from sitting like this and stuff. Over time, that tends to happen with me no matter what the foundation is. So overall, I don't think it looks bad. It did take quite a while before it started looking oily, which is really good in my opinion because a lot of foundations tend to get oily within 4 hours or so, and this one took about 6 before I noticed anything. It did sort of cling onto my dryness here, and you can still sort of see that a little bit, but I think that if I used a more hydrating primer or really exfoliated my skin a little bit more, that would be taken care of. I will zoom you guys in just so that you can see the close-up of my skin. So here is a close-up of my skin. Hopefully you can tell a little bit where it has worn off right in here and just get a feel for what it looks like after 10.5 hours. Overall, I think that if you were interested in this foundation, it's definitely worth a shot. It kept me matte for a good amount of time before I started to get oily throughout the day, a lot longer than typical foundations. It did tend to wear off a little bit in here, but that could be the concealer or it could be from me blowing my nose. And it did have pretty good high, medium to full coverage, so that is also something that I personally really like in a foundation. I think that if you have dry skin, you are not going to like this foundation because it is quite matte. But if you have oily skin like me, I think that it could be one that you really enjoy. So those are my thoughts overall for $39. It is a bit more expensive than I typically spend on foundations, but I don't think that it is terrible by any means, and I will continue to use this. Okay guys, so that wraps up this video on this Tarte Shape Tape foundation. I really hope that you enjoyed it and found this helpful if you are thinking about trying out this foundation, or if you just wanted to see some opinions. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one.